My fiancée left me at a charity gala to network with a billionaire investor. I paid the bill and went home alone. So some background first. I'm a software engineer and co-founder of a small AI startup. We're early stage, just closed our seed round a few months ago. Nothing huge, but we're making progress. My fiancée Sophie works as a PR manager at a pretty prestigious agency in the city. She's always been ambitious, loves the whole networking scene, going to events, meeting important people. It's her career, her thing. Last Saturday, Sophie's agency was organizing this big charity gala for a tech nonprofit. She'd been planning it for weeks. She asked me to come as her plus one, said it would be good for me to meet some potential investors. I'm not really a gala guy, but she was excited about introducing me as her fiancé, so I rented a tux and went. The event was at this fancy hotel downtown. Open bar, silent auction, the whole deal. Sophie introduced me to a few people early on, but I could tell she was kind of embarrassed by how I was dressed. My tux was fine, just simple. Nothing flashy. She kept making comments like, "You could have worn the Armani I picked out," or "Try to smile more, you look too serious." I smiled more. We ended up at a VIP table with some major donors and investors. I was making conversation, being polite, talking about our startup's AI engine when people asked. A couple of the investors seemed genuinely interested. One guy even asked for my card. I thought it was going okay. Then Victor Brandt showed up. I'd heard the name before. You don't work in tech without knowing the major players. But seeing him in person, I got it. The guy has this presence. Expensive suit, perfectly styled hair, the kind of confidence that comes from having screw you money. He was there as a platinum sponsor, which meant the organizers were basically treating him like royalty. Victor's this 41-year-old venture capitalist, runs a fund called Brandt Ventures. The kind of guy who gets written up in Forbes. The second he walked to our table, Sophie's entire energy shifted. She immediately stood up, introduced herself, laughed at everything he said. I'm talking that performative laugh where you touch someone's arm. She barely looked at me for the next hour. Every time I tried to add to the conversation, she'd kind of talk over me or redirect to Victor. At one point, I mentioned our AI product and she literally said, "Oh, Ethan's startup is still pretty early stage," with this dismissive tone, like she was apologizing for me existing. After the main speeches, Victor said something about wanting to discuss potential collaboration with Sophie over drinks somewhere quieter. Sophie turned to me, not even trying to be discreet anymore. "Ethan, you should go home. Victor and I need to talk business, and honestly, you're not really. At this level, you wouldn't add anything to the conversation." I just stared at her. We were at a table with 6 other people. They were all suddenly very interested in their phones. "At this level," she sighed like I was being difficult. "Look, I need to network with actual decision makers, people who can move my career forward, not," she gestured vaguely at me, "seed stage founders who are still trying to figure out product market fit. We're engaged, Sophie, and I'm trying to build a career." Her voice had this edge. "This is a massive opportunity for me. Victor runs a billion-dollar fund. You run a startup that's barely profitable. Can you really not see the difference?" Victor was just standing there, checking his phone, completely comfortable with this. If anything, he looked amused. "You want me to leave," I said slowly, "so you can go somewhere quieter with a billionaire, while wearing the dress I helped you pick out after I drove us here." "God, don't be so insecure." She was getting annoyed now. "This is networking. This is how my world works. You sit in front of computers all day. You don't understand relationship building at this level." She looked at Victor, then back at me. "Just go home. I'll get a ride back later. And Ethan," she lowered her voice, but not enough, "maybe use the time to think about whether you're really ready to be with someone who has ambitions beyond a Series A." I stood up, looked at her for a second, waiting to see if she'd realize what she was doing. She just looked away, back to Victor. "Okay." Then I walked out, drove home alone in my rented tux at 11:30 on a Saturday night. The whole ride home, I kept checking my phone. Nothing. She didn't text me that night or the next day. I kept my phone on loud the entire Sunday. Still nothing. Monday morning, I woke up and the ring on my finger felt wrong, like I was wearing someone else's jewelry. 3 days later, Wednesday afternoon, she finally messaged me. Just hey. No apology, no explanation. I stared at that text for probably 20 minutes. Didn't respond. Then I saw her Instagram story. She was on a yacht, a freaking yacht. Champagne in hand, sunset in the background. Caption, choosing the right energy, not the past. I haven't heard from her since. That was 4 days ago. I took the engagement ring off Tuesday morning and put it in my safe. Haven't worn it since. Am I overreacting here? Was this actually normal networking that I'm too insecure to understand? Or did my fiancé really just ditch me at a gala to chase a billionaire? Update 1. Thanks for all the advice on the original post. A lot of you told me to separate finances, cut her off, move on. I did all of that. Haven't spoken to Sophie since that hey text 2.5 weeks ago. She hasn't reached out again either. So here's where it gets interesting. About a week after my original post, my co-founder Lucas and I got an email from an investment fund interested in our startup. They'd heard about our AI platform and wanted to discuss a potential Series A investment. I opened the email while Lucas was at my apartment going over our Q3 projections. Saw the sender, Brant Ventures. Read it twice to make sure I wasn't misunderstanding. The fund was Brant Ventures. Yeah, Victor Brant's fund. I must have made a noise because Lucas looked up. What? I turned my laptop toward him. Watched his face go through the same sequence mine just did, confusion, recognition, disbelief, and I just laughed, not a happy laugh. The kind of laugh you make when the universe has a very specific sense of humor. Lucas thought I was having a breakdown. You can't be serious about taking a meeting with this guy, he said. This is the asshole who... I know exactly who he is, I told him, and we're taking the meeting. Lucas stared at me like I'd lost my mind. Ethan, this is the guy Sophie left you for. You want to get into bed with him, business-wise. He doesn't know who I am, I said. He met me for maybe 30 seconds at that gala, never got my name, probably doesn't even remember I was there. To him, I was just some guy in a forgettable tux sitting next to Sophie. So what's your play here? Reject the deal to prove a point? No, I said. We take the meeting, we hear the offer, and we make the best decision for the company. Lucas shook his head. You're playing with fire, maybe. But I was also thinking clearly for the first time in 2 weeks. We had 3 meetings over the next week and a half. The first 2 were standard due diligence, junior partners asking about our tech stack and burn rate, then a technical deep dive with their CTO in residence who grilled us for 2 hours on our AI architecture. They seemed impressed. No sign of Victor. The third meeting was different. They asked us to come back to their office for final discussions with senior partners. That's when Victor walked in. He was wearing a different expensive suit, same confident energy, shook my hand first. Ethan, right, great to finally meet the technical founder, no flicker of recognition. Victor, I said, thanks for taking the time. We sat down. He'd clearly read our materials, asked smart questions about our go-to-market strategy, our competitive moat, how we plan to scale the sales team. He was impressed by our customer retention numbers. The meeting ran 90 minutes. At the end, Victor stood up, shook our hands again. We'll have our final decision by end of week, he said. But I'll tell you now, I think this is exactly the kind of company we want in our portfolio. They offered $1.5 million on Friday afternoon. Term sheet, board seat, standard anti-dilution provisions. The email came from Victor directly. Looking forward to partnering with you both on this journey. We accepted the offer yesterday. Lucas and I talked about it for hours. He kept bringing up the Sophie situation, whether I was making an emotional decision. But the thing is, I wasn't. This was the best term sheet we'd received. The valuation was fair, the board seat was reasonable, and Brant Ventures had a solid track record with companies like ours. Walking away because of personal drama would have been the emotional choice. We're doing this, I told Lucas, for the company. And if you run into Sophie, then I run into Sophie. Now we're in the contract phase. Lawyers reviewing terms, negotiating minor points, standard stuff. The Brant Ventures team has been professional and efficient. They want to close fast, which works for us. This morning I got an email from their operations manager about logistics for the signing ceremony. Small event, nothing major, just some photos for their website, a press release, maybe a few trades, cover it. The email had all the details. Date, time, location, dress code, business professional, attendee list. I was skimming through it when I saw the venue line. Signing location, Sophie's agency name. I read it again. Then I opened their website and checked. Same address. Same agency where Sophie works. The email continued. PR coordination will be handled by agency name. Your main contact for press and logistics will be Sophie Lane, PR manager. I sat there staring at my screen for probably 5 minutes. The agency probably got hired through normal channels. Sophie has probably been assigned this as just another client project. She has no idea. So next Friday, I'm going to walk into conference room 4B. Sophie will be there with her clipboard and her PR smile, ready to coordinate a routine signing event. She'll look up from her notes, and she'll see me sitting at the table with Victor. She'll see my name on the contract as co-founder and CTO. She'll see me shaking hands with the man she ditched me for, signing a $1.5 million investment deal. I'm not doing this for revenge. I'm doing this because it's a good deal for my company. But I'd be lying if I said I'm not curious about how that moment is going to feel for both of us. 1 week. I'll update after the signing. Update 2, it's been a week. The signing was this afternoon. I'm writing this from a bar 2 blocks from Sophie's agency because I needed a drink before I went home. Lucas and I showed up at 1:45 p.m. We checked in at the lobby, got visitor badges, took the elevator to the 4th floor. We were the first ones there. The room was set up for press, backdrop with company logos, small table with 2 chairs facing the camera setup, contracts already laid out with little sign here tabs, professional, efficient. Sophie's work probably. I sat down in one of the chairs, checking the contract one more time. Lucas stood by the window looking nervous. "You good?" he asked. "I'm fine." The door opened. Sophie walked in. She was looking down at her tablet, tapping something. She was wearing a navy dress and heels, hair pulled back, full professional mode. She looked up to greet us with her PR smile. The smile died the second she saw my face. I watched her go through it. Confusion first, like she was trying to place me. Then recognition. Then her eyes went to Lucas, down to the contract on the table, then to the backdrop with our startup's logo next to Brant Ventures, then back at me. "Ethan." Her voice came out strange, thin. "Hey, Sophie." I kept my tone neutral. "Nice space. Good job on the setup." She just stood there in the doorway holding her tablet. Her mouth opened, closed. This is your company." "Yeah, been working on it for 2 years. You knew that." "I didn't." She stopped, started again. "I didn't know you were the signing today." "I figured." Lucas cleared his throat. "I'm gonna check if the Brant Ventures team is here yet." He slipped past Sophie and disappeared into the hallway. Sophie took a step into the room. "Ethan, I don't understand. You're here with Victor. He's investing in my company." I gestured at the contract. $1.5 million, good terms. "Since when?" "We've been in talks for 2 weeks. I watched her do the math. 2 weeks, right after the gala, right after the yacht. "Does he know?" she asked quietly. "Does he know what? About us? About the gala? Does he know who you are?" "He knows I'm the CTO and co-founder of a company he wants in his portfolio," I said. "And that's all he needs to know." She looked like she wanted to say something else, but voices came from the hallway. Victor's voice. Sophie's face went through another series of expressions, panic, then forced composure. She stepped back, straightened her tablet against her chest like a shield. Victor walked in with 2 people from his fund, a photographer and another woman I didn't recognize. He saw me and smiled. "Ethan, ready to make this official?" "Absolutely." I stood up, shook his hand. His eyes went to Sophie. There was a flicker of something, recognition, discomfort maybe. He recovered fast. "Sophie." Sophie's face went red. "Mr. Brant." Her voice came out too formal, too stiff. "Everything is set up. If you and Mr. Cole want to take your seats, we'll do the signing photos first, then a few casual shots for the press release." Victor nodded curtly and moved to the table without another word to her. I watched this play out and understood immediately. Whatever had been happening between them after the gala, it was over. Or maybe it had never been what Sophie thought it was. It was surreal watching Sophie shift into work mode. She directed the photographer, adjusted the lighting, made sure the contracts were positioned correctly for the camera angles. Completely professional. But I could see her hands shaking slightly when she moved the contract closer to me. We signed. We smiled for photos, shook hands for more photos. Victor made a comment about his signature looking like a doctor's handwriting, and everyone laughed. Sophie didn't laugh. She stood off to the side, tablet clutched tight, watching everything with this fixed expression. I wondered what she was thinking. If she was remembering the gala when she'd stood next to Victor exactly like this while I sat alone at the table. The symmetry felt intentional even though it wasn't. The whole ceremony took maybe 25 minutes. When it was done, Victor's team started packing up, talking about celebrating at some steakhouse downtown. Victor invited Lucas and me to join. "First round's on Brant Ventures," he said. "We'll meet you there," Lucas said. "Just need to wrap up a few things here." Victor and his team left. The photographer left. Suddenly it was just me, Lucas, and Sophie in the conference room. Sophie was staring at me. "You knew," she said. "You knew I'd be here. I got the logistics email a week ago." "Yeah, I knew." "And you didn't think to," she stopped. "Why didn't you say anything?" "Say what exactly?" I picked up my copy of the contract, folded it into my bag. "We haven't spoken in a month. You were pretty clear about choosing different energy." "That's not fair." "What's not fair?" I looked at her directly. "You told me to go home from that gala so you could network with Victor. I went home. You went on yachts. I built my company. Victor invested in it. What part of this isn't fair?" Her eyes were getting red. "You did this to hurt me." "I did this because it's a good deal for my startup," I said. "You being here is just coincidence. Well, your agency being good at their job, technically. This is cruel, Ethan. What's cruel is leaving your fiancée at a charity event to chase a billionaire. What's cruel is posting yacht photos with captions about moving past the past. What's cruel is not even having the decency to officially break up with me, just ghosting and assuming I'd figure it out." I wasn't yelling. My voice was level, calm. "I took a good investment from a reputable fund. You coordinated the press for it. We're both professionals. That's all this is." She didn't have a response to that. Lucas touched my shoulder. "We should go. Victor's waiting." I nodded. We walked past her. She didn't try to stop me. We met Victor and his team at the steakhouse, celebrated the deal. The restaurant was one of those expense account places with white tablecloths and a sommelier. Victor ordered a $300 bottle of wine, gave a toast about brilliant founders and disruptive technology. Everyone clinked glasses. I smiled, raised my glass, let myself enjoy the moment. I'd earned this. We'd built something good enough that a top-tier fund wanted in. That was the real victory. That was 5 hours ago. The team went their separate ways after dinner. I told Lucas I needed to walk for a bit, clear my head. Ended up at this bar 2 blocks from Sophie's office. I'm on my 3rd beer now, sitting in a back corner booth, watching ESPN on the screen above the bar and not really seeing it. She texted me an hour ago. Just, "Can we talk?" I stared at the message for a while, thought about what conversation there was left to have. We'd said everything that mattered in that conference room. She chose to chase status and wealth. I chose to build something real. She's seeing the consequences of her choice now, just like I'm seeing the rewards of mine. I haven't responded. I don't think I'm going to. Edit. Some of you are asking if Victor ever found out about me and Sophie. Not that I know of. He still has no idea who I was at that gala. And honestly, I'm fine with that. Final update: it's been half a year since the signing. Figured I owed you all a final update since so many of you followed this story. I never responded to Sophie's "Can we talk" text. Didn't block her, just never replied. She tried twice more over the next week, longer messages, apologies, asking for closure. I read them and left them on read. Eventually she stopped. 2 weeks after the signing, I heard through a mutual friend that Sophie got fired from her agency. The official reason was performance issues, but the reality was more complicated. Turns out, after our signing ceremony, she'd been off, missing details on client projects, showing up late to meetings, unfocused. Then there was an incident where she accidentally sent a client's confidential information to the wrong recipient. That was the final straw. She reached out again when it happened, longer message this time. Said she'd lost her job, her apartment lease was ending, everything was falling apart. Asked if we could meet for coffee. I made mistakes, Ethan. I know that now, but I need someone to talk to, please. I thought about it for maybe 30 seconds. Then I replied, "You told me I didn't understand your world. Maybe now you understand mine, where decisions have consequences. Good luck with everything." She tried calling after that. I didn't answer. A month after the signing, something else happened. A woman named Marissa reached out to me on LinkedIn. She introduced herself as Victor's executive assistant and asked if we could talk privately. I was suspicious as hell but curious. We met at a coffee shop. She was direct. "I know about you and Sophie Lane," she paused. "I've seen a lot of women at galas with Victor." Apparently Victor had a pattern. Young women in professional settings, leveraging his position and wealth, always keeping it just ambiguous enough to avoid HR problems. Sophie wasn't special. She was just next in a long line. Marissa was tired of it. She'd been documenting things quietly, inappropriate messages, patterns of behavior, power dynamics that crossed lines. She wanted to know if I'd be willing to provide a statement about what happened at the gala, not for a lawsuit. For an internal investigation she was confident was coming. I asked why she was doing this. She said, "Because I'm tired of watching him use his position to manipulate people, and because someone needs to." I gave her a written statement, factual, dated, specific about what I witnessed. 2 months later, Victor was quietly suspended from active management at Brant Ventures. The fund's board opened an ethics investigation. He's still technically a partner, but he's not running deals anymore. Our investment was fine. The fund's other partners took over our board seat. They're good people, professional, supportive, no drama. The company's been growing fast. Revenue's up 300% from where we were at signing. We just closed our Series B 2 weeks ago, $8 million at a significantly better valuation. Different lead investor this time, though Brant Ventures came in for the pro rata. I got promoted to CTO officially. Lucas is now CEO, which fits better anyway. He's better with investors and clients. I'm happier in the technical role. We moved into a real office downtown, the kind with a reception desk and meeting rooms. The product is scaling. We're being written up in tech blogs. Life is good. Sophie tried reaching out one more time about 3 months ago. Different approach, sent a card to my office address. Handwritten. Said she was sorry for everything, that she'd been shallow and stupid, that she understood if I never wanted to speak to her again, but she wanted me to know she regretted how things ended. I appreciated the card more than the text, honestly. It felt more genuine, but I still didn't respond. Some things you just leave in the past. I'm not angry anymore. Not at Sophie, not at Victor. I'm just past it. The engagement ring is still in my safe. Maybe I'll sell it, maybe I'll keep it as a reminder, haven't decided. Sophie posted on Instagram yesterday, first post in months. It was a quote about growth and second chances. Comments were supportive but sparse. She's working at a smaller agency now, according to LinkedIn. Good for her. As for me, Series B just closed. We're hiring. The product's working. Moved into a better apartment in October, 1 bedroom to 2 bedroom, actual view of the city. Life's good. Not perfect, but good. And I built it myself without networking at galas or chasing other people's definitions of success. That's it. That's the ending. Thanks for following along, everyone.